Every police officer has stories. Some are funny, some are confronting, some you'll never read in a headline. Roger Mayer's had a long career in the Northern Territory and New South Wales Police Force, and he's got a few stories to tell. Tall tales and true, real Australian police stories. And yes, sometimes there are quiet shifts. They just don't make the podcasts. Or maybe some will.
Police, I'll send the dog.
BKG, any dog on channel?
Dog 11 on channel, go.
Dog 11, a 10:15 Bear Street, Smithville, re-break and enter in progress.
Dog 11, copy, 5 minutes. Dog 11, off at the scene now. Person's decamping, releasing the dog.
This podcast contains discussions about real policing experiences, crime, prison, violence, and adult themes. Some episodes include coarse language and may not be suitable for listeners under 18. Stories shared on this podcast come from policing experiences in both the Northern Territory and New South Wales, including time spent working in the dog squad. Some stories involve Indigenous Australians due to the nature of policing work in the Northern Territory. These stories are shared from personal experience and are not intended to stereotype or disrespect any individual or community. Some names and identifying details have been changed to protect privacy. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to episode 5 of Tall Tales and True podcast, based on the book Tall Tales and True, written by Roger Mayer. Last week we heard about Roger's early days in Nhulunbuy, his first posting in the Northern Territory, including a job he attended at a fatal croc attack. Welcome back, Rog.
Thank you, Deb.
How are you this week?
I'm very well, I thank you. And you?
I'm good, thank you.
You are good.
So this week we're going to look at, we're going to move into 1980, into the next decade. And there's a chapter in your book called Call for a Hand at Sea.
Ah, yes.
It's a bit of a play on words, that one, isn't it?
It is. It's a play on words. I was trying to be clever. I couldn't think of anything better. And then the bloke got his hand cut off.
Well, don't give away the story now. So tell us, how did that all come about? So it was basically there was foreign fishing vessels in the area. That was like a regular kind of thing, right?
Oh, yeah. So you used to get the Taiwanese fishing boats, and they come in, and they're not supposed to come within, I think, about 2 kilometres of the shoreline. They can fish outside those areas, and what they do is they sneak in. And there's fishing boats, there's smaller fishing boats. They feed onto larger fishing boats, and they come from Taiwan and round up that way, up in Asia. And what they love, and I can never understand what the fascination was, is the sea slugs. You see those really soft sea slugs? They look like a big poo on the ground on the sea. But apparently, and they're only in the shallows. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that we used to find is that the giant clamshells, huge big clamshells, and they're only in the shallows, and they took those as well, and they just cut a bit of the main meat, they open it up, take the meat out and throw the shell overboard, but sometimes they would keep the shell. And these Taiwanese, I would say Taiwanese because that was mostly who they were, could have been Indonesian as well. I don't want to slander anybody, but in this instance was Taiwanese, and they have a radio operator on board, and they're supposed to make contact every day at certain times with the Australian customs officials and give them their location. So they would, and they would track them. And we had at the time tracker planes. These the customs had a tracker plane, and that would track the boats. They'd give their location, and they could fly out from Darwin and cover the areas and make sure that they were in the designated areas they were supposed to be. Just do a check-up on them. Yeah, and just do a check-up.
So they were allowed to be there as long as they were within a certain...
So long as they stayed in the international waters. Mm-hmm. I think, look, I'm not an expert on maritime law, and somebody else probably tell me, no, that's not right. The old 12 miles out You know, the coastline goes out to 12 mile, whatever that in kilometres, 20 odd kilometres. And 2 mile, they couldn't come within the 2 mile limit of the shoreline. But that's what they were doing, because that's where the
good stuff.
The good stuff that they wanted was. And when you went out past the shelf, which was like 12 mile out, it's a lot deeper, and you don't get the things that they wanted, which were the giant clam and the sea slugs. And they're quite a delicacy. I think they dry them, and I don't know what they do with them, but they eat them. I've never fancied them. I picked them up and I'm going, nah, I'm not eating that when I've been diving. And just
I've never tried one.
No, I've never tried one.
No, I don't think I will either.
Yeah.
In your book, you were talking about how there was also like Indigenous police aids.
Yes. So that was a good thing. About the time that I started in 1979, I think, around that way, the Northern Territory Police introduced this system of, they were called police aids, and they were selected from their communities, someone that was respected in the community, and they take them to Darwin and they train them up, put them in barracks there, and they give them training in identifying foreign vessels, using the radio, writing a diary, keeping a diary, like a daily diary of what they did. And then most of them got an ag bike, an agricultural motorbike, and a small dinghy with an outboard motor. There was one on Elcho Island, which is Gallawinku. There was a police aid at Snake Bay. We had police aids at some of the other settlements, and there was 2 at Bathurst Island. Two very good fellas there, really good. You'd have them as cops. They were really good fellas there. I had a little bit to do with, and their job was they had a uniform, and they had the only powers of arrest they had was they could take someone into protective custody under the direction of a police officer. So they didn't have powers of arrest to detain and question and whatnot. But if they were working with a police officer and someone was intoxicated, he could direct them to take them into protective custody, which I spoke about before, which was because they were intoxicated and likely to commit an offence, have an offence committed against them, and bring them and put them in custody. And I was doing some of the ongoing training with that, and going out to the settlements to check on them and see what they needed. And that was quite a bit of a different thing to do. You wouldn't do that down here.
No.
So I would fly in a single-engine plane to Gallawinku, Elcho Island. I'd buzz the airfield, land, and get a lift in. Somebody would come out to the airstrip, give me a ride into the settlement, and the guy who was there, what I was supposed to do, there was no real communication, but we had a radio telephone, and it was like you could send a message through the radio. It was like a telegraph message, and tell him I was coming and about what time, and then he'd come and meet me. So this day I went out there, and I didn't get a chance to message him. Something happened, and I landed, and he turned up. He's got no uniform, and he's looking a bit sheepish. I said, "What's going on?" He goes, "Oh, I didn't know you were coming." I said, "Yeah, I know. Spur of the moment." I go, "Where's your bike?" And he's looking sheepish. "Where's your uniform?" And he'd lent it to his brother. And then he had another problem. I said, "My boat," and they were given a tinny, probably a 12-foot tinny with a 25 horsepower motor, and the tides are really big up there. And he pulled it up on the beach, hadn't taken it far enough. The tide came in and filled it full of sand and split it, ruined it.
Oh, no.
He said, "I need a new boat and motor." Just like that. I go, "Yeah." So my job was to look after and put in reports, and then I went to Snake Bay, and the fella there, his surname was actually Singh, which is an Indian name from way back, Indian somewhere, Sikh. And he was pretty sharp sort of a bloke. And he wanted leave immediately. He's had domestic problems and his missus had run off to Darwin or something, and he wanted to go and chase her down. And I said, well, you've got to put a leave form in and I've got to do all this and do that. And he's in a bit of a thing. I said, I'll fix it. I'll take it. I'll take care of it. So you go and I'll sort that out. And then the guys at Bathurst Island they had a four-wheel drive because there was two of them, so there was no point in having a bike. And these were tough-looking blokes. I went out there, and one named Stanley and Charlie. And Stanley was about 6'2", 6'3", big solid fella. You'd sign him up to play rugby league. And Stanley was about 5'4" and just as wide. And anyway, they picked me up at the airport, and I saw them. We went for a ride around, and they've got a sports club, Bathurst Island, that sold alcohol, which is really unusual. And it is an Aboriginal settlement. And these guys, and they're looking very sheepish again at one another. And Aboriginal blokes and Indigenous blokes and people generally, they quite shy, and they're not forthcoming. They won't tell you things, and as I said before, you've got to ask how you ask them questions, and you get the information. I could see something was bothering them. I said, what's the problem? And they're looking at one another, and they said, that sports club? I said, yeah, I do. And again, a bit reluctant, I said, when you go in there, all the boys in there that have been drinking, they tell you to get out. This is our club. We don't, you coppers here. And the eyes, big wide eyes, looked at one another. They went, yeah, how do you know that's what they say? I said, because that's what they say. People say to everybody in the world, the cops who are going into a licensed premises. I gave them some bad advice. But I remember I'm 23, 24.
That's true.
And I said, just off the cuff remark. I said to him, what you do is, I said, usually the guy, the biggest mouth, he's about 2 or 3 back. He's the one doing all of them, making all the noise. I said, you grab him and you drag him out, boom, first. And that'll take care of the problem. Oh, good. So anyway, next time I go and see them, they big smiles on their faces and pick me up, and I said, how's it going, boys? They said, oh, good. We did what you told us. We went in there and we grabbed this first bloke who was all the big mouth, took him out, gave him a little bit of a touch-up, I think, and no more problem. And then I said, well, that's really good. That's good policing. And what else? He goes, and this is Charlie, who's really solid and wide. He goes, had a fellow the other day with a shotgun on the oval, threatening to shoot. So what did you do? He said, well, I went down there. I said, give me the shotgun. And he wouldn't. He said, no. He said, so he just barreled up to him and stuck his belly up against the shotgun and pushed this fella all the way around the oval. I said, what happened then? He said, I got tired, so I hit him and took the shotgun off him. I said, good result.
Oh, dear.
So
that could have gone bad.
Oh, well, yeah, but brave. Brave. No fear. Do their job. As I said, no fear. And so they did a great job, those guys. But their job was to, on all these islands and on the coastline, to keep a lookout for illegal fishermen and drugs, because we're getting drugs possibly dropped off, by boats and things. And they would take down, they had binoculars, and then they would report it to Darwin via the radio telephone if they saw anything suspicious, and then the customs plane could fly over and check the boats and whatnot. So they did a good job.
So the guy you were talking about before, why did he lend his uniform to his brother?
Because his brother asked him for it.
Why?
But because you don't say no. Who knows? I said,
He just wanted to
I had to
dress
explain
up
to
in
him.
it?
He just goes, yeah, he needed the bike and I don't know what he was going to do with it. He may have wanted to impress somebody. I don't know. But I said to him, you can't do that. You know, you just can't. He goes, oh, okay, yeah, right, yeah. He was looking at me. He knew, I think, but this is family. If family asks for something, you give it to them.
Yeah.
This is where the problems arise.
Yeah.
And Elko Island's a dry settlement. There's no alcohol there. That was pretty good. But I did do a job over there where a guy was drinking. Remember the old Roneo machines? They used to use spirit to. It was like before the photocopier. You used to, and we used to have them at school. And a really strong white spirit they used in it, and it came out like purple.
The
and
teachers would print
to
on
print
that.
on things.
You'd be like smelling.
you're smelling it. You were smelling. You were sniffing it, weren't you? Yeah. He was drinking it. He drank the fluid and sent him what we call, buoy, sent him mad, and he'd locked himself in the freezer over there. So I had to go over. I had to go over and get him one day in a light plane, and I'd gone the settlement, and I didn't know that the plane had been there before, the hospital plane that flies around and picks up patients. And it was a big twin engine, and they had a couple of male nurses and a nurse on board, and they couldn't get him. They couldn't subdue him, get him on the plane. So they came back, and I'd come to work at 3:00 in the afternoon, and they said, you got a job on? I'm by myself. Get in the plane, go there.
That's why you had to go, because they couldn't get him.
Couldn't get him. And I went there, and I got a lift in. As soon as someone turns up in a plane, someone from the settlement always comes out and see who's there. This old Toyota with some dirt on the back of it, and I jump in there and go back, and because people that aren't that are what you call mentally have a mental issue frighten Aboriginals because they think they've got the devil. They go devil. He got the devil in him, because they're doing and saying silly things. It's not normal, and it frightens them. Devil. So they said he's down in. They've got him locked in down there, and I went down there, and he saw me, and he goes, "G'day, I'm going to go with you, aren't I?" And I said, "Yes, you are, mate. Get in the car." So I put him in this Toyota, and I drove him back to the airstrip, and he said, as they're about to get on, we'd taken all the seats out of this little six-seater, and we had a stretcher. It's only a single-engine plane. It's a six-seater, you're all crammed in.
Yeah.
So we took the seats out and we put a stretcher in, an ambulance stretcher, and I strapped. So I said, "Mate, get in there. I'll take you back. I'm taking you to Gove." And he goes, "I'm not getting in." I went, "Oh, here we go. I need a pish." All right, so you have a pish. We had a pish behind a tree. I said, "Mate, you've got to lie down here." And I strapped him in, and I just buckled him up, and I had a little nurse with me from the hospital. And she's a bit worried. And we're flying over the sea. We've got to fly back over the sea to get there. Anyway, we're flying. It's only about half-hour flight, if that, 45 minutes. You fly over the sea and then you hit the land and come back.
You've got to pay a lot of money for those lie-down seats today.
So as we're flying over the sea there, he starts struggling and goes, "I want to get out." So, mate, you're not getting out. You're not getting out. It's a long drop.
Yeah.
And I settled him back down. We hit the airstrip, taxied up. The ambulance was waiting. I got out. The orderlies and that were there. And I went, "He's all yours, tag team," and I left. He left them for him to deal with it. But that was drinking the spirits that does that sort of thing. That this alcoholics that try and drink anything, but it was a dry settlement, and.
Well, I remember, kids at school would all be sniffing our stencils.
You're probably licking it, were you? Licking the paper. No, it's like sniffing.
But
it's really strong.
Though.
It's very strong.
It
White
was.
spirit, I think.
Very strong.
Anyway, so the police aides did a great job, and we also had ACLOs, with the police liaison officer, we call them, Aboriginal police liaison officers, and they came from we had to send them back to their own communities because they wouldn't be accepted in another community. And then the problems arose of if they were, how much they were respected in the community. So we had to pick people that were respected and could do the job, because don't forget there's a hierarchy in a lot of the Aboriginal communities, and they're not allowed to look at or even speak to some people of a higher authority. So you have to be careful of that. But all in all, they're doing a great job.
Do you know if that is still going? Or?
No, not sure. I think it is, because they've got a few different things going up there. One of the best and bravest fellas I had was Timothy, was our ACLO to start with. Was the liaison officer, Aboriginal community liaison officer, and then they made him a police aide. He did the police aide training. He came from Groot Island, but he was working at Nullarbor. I don't know if there's a photograph of him in the book, standing near the Toyota. Lovely fella, big smile, bravest man I knew. He got a bravery award, and I was down in Canberra about 2010 for the I think it was 2008. I'll get the dates right. 2007 for the 100 year anniversary of the opening of Parliament in Canberra. Got selected to go down and march in that. And I was telling the boys I was going down with about him, telling their story about him. And I get there, and in Parliament House, there's these big photos, and there's a photo of him in there and a story.
Really?
And one of the guys goes, "You couldn't have made that up. You're just talking about him coming down here. Did you know?" I said, "No, I had no idea." And there he is on the wall there, Timothy Mangura. Unbelievable. That's how things work. We get even stranger. Later on, we'll talk about other strange things
later in this
episode.
But back to our fishing vessel.
Oh, yes, the fishing vessel. So that's the intro. So we got the phone call from the hospital. There'd been a radio call made. There was a Taiwanese fishing boat. It was out at the Pony Islands, which is quite a ways off the coast.
Yeah, sounds like it was a fair way.
The Pony Islands out is probably 100, maybe 50, 60 kilometres off Northern Territory. And a fellow had had his hand cut off during a fight on the vessel. And they wanted a doctor out there, and, I don't know what they do. So a doctor...
What was his hand cut off with?
With a cleaver, meat cleaver. That's the information we had. Now, the doctor was coming from Gove Hospital, big hospital at Gove I spoke about before, and we get all these, there was some, gung-ho doctors from there, and this doctor turned up, and because Nullarbor Police Station, the officer in charge, we're also the SES coordinators, the State Emergency Service, and we had a State Emergency Service vessel supplied to us by the Northern Territory Government, which was a 23-foot Shark Cat, twin-engine Shark Cat with 150 horsepower, two 150 horsepower Black Max engines on the back. And great vessel to get around on.
So is that, explain this to me, because I don't know what you're talking about.
So it's a twin-hull vessel. So it's got two hulls like a catamaran, and it's got 150 horsepower, two of them on the back. That's 300 horsepower.
Has it got an enclosed section to sit in?
It's 23 foot, and it has a cabin over the front.
Okay.
And an open back deck. Very, very... it wasn't rigged up for going out to sea, and it wasn't rigged up. It had a compass. I think it had a compass. It had no lights in it, really, and it had no other safety equipment on board. It was one of those things, and it sat in the back of the police station yard at Nullarbor on a big trailer, and it was a trailer craft. And a few stories. I think one of the sergeants sunk about 3 or 4 Toyotas trying to get it out of the out one day. That's another story.
Okay.
So the sergeants were trained up as the skippers And the constables were the deckhands, and we did a bit of a deckhand course, how to get the ropes on and off and do this and load it on. And
this isn't normal.
This is normal
in most police.
No, it's not normal in most police. They would have a set water police, which we hadn't done. But out the outstations like this, you do everything. We had a police boat as well, a 16-foot Quintrex, which I spoke. No, when we get to the crocodile story. The crocodile story, the Quintrex was in it, and the shark cat, remember? So we've got a Quintrex, but that's a centre console drive with a motor on the back. This is the big shark cat. So that we had this sergeant relieving there, senior sergeant, and I didn't like him. He liked to drink and old school. So Bob Hayden and I, my mate, the sergeant, we were directed to take this doctor with his medical and go out to the pony to meet this boat. I don't know how we're going to do it, and treat this, or bring him back. I'm not good on the water. I'm not a very good sailor. I get sick on the wharf. I'm hopeless. I was hopeless. Anyway, that's the job. That's the job you do. So we go, and it's 3 o'clock it's late in the afternoon, and we've got a portable radio. This is the only radio. There's no radio on the vessel. We didn't even have a marine radio, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know how we're going to make contact with this boat. We've got some charts. Bob knows how to read a chart. We've got a compass and a dolphin torch.
And no food, no water.
No food, no water.
And maybe no life jackets.
No, they were stashed somewhere. There would have been life jackets, I think, but we never knew. So we headed out.
A dolphin torch with no backup battery.
No, nothing. Just a dolphin, with the big 6-volt, 9-volt battery or whatever they were. The plastic dolphin torch.
It didn't even have a spare 9-volt.
No, it had nothing. Well equipped. And so we head out. We start going out, and I just see behind me, my heart's sinking. I see the lights of Nullarbor disappearing as it's becoming dark. And we're going out in the dark, and the lights of Nullarbor.
Doctor's excited, right?
And the doctor's he's on the back of the boat, and he can't believe how much fun he's going to be having. And I'm just looking, going, oh my, please, we're going to die out here. The lights of Nullarbor are fading. We're about 30 mile out. I don't know how far we're out. It's getting dark. It is dark. Lights have gone. The portable radios, it doesn't work now because we're too far. It's line of sight. We've got this big radio. And it's dark. About 7 or 8 o'clock at night, maybe a bit later. We're heading through these bit of a trough. And I said to Bob, there's a mountain in front of us.
Oh no.
He's driving the boat, and it's a mountain of water. And we're in a 23-foot shark cat, and he's cut the motors and just having to crawl up this mountain of water. It was 25 foot if it was an inch, 25 foot high. And we came down the other side, crashed down, and there's another mountain of water. And and the spray's coming up, and this doctor's on the back, and he's loving it. He's hanging onto the back, and I've got the torch, and we had stenciled somebody, I think it was probably Bob, had used one of those dino tapes and stenciled on the front, on the bulkhead, first commandment, thou shalt not endanger the craft. That would have been Bob. And I'm pointing, I'm going, Bob. Now, and this doctor's going, I said, we've got to turn around and go back. We've got to go back. And this doctor's going, no, we've got to go. And this fella's lost his hand. And I'm going, I don't care. Really.
I'd rather be alive.
I'd rather be. And I'm feeling nauseous. I'm not hanging over the side, but I'm nauseous and feeling like I'm going to throw up. I'm holding the dolphin torch, holding on for dear life with the other hand. We're going up these troughs.
No. That would be my worst nightmare.
And it's terrifying. It is terrifying. And I said to Bob, we got to go. We got to go back. And he goes, I think you're right. The doctor wasn't happy. Anyway, so we spin the boat around, and then getting chased by the waves because the waves are coming the way we were going. So we're sort of riding the wave.
Surfing the wave.
And we're surfing the waves a bit. And luckily the shark cats are so stable because they've got the twin hulls.
Oh.
A single hull might have flipped.
Wow.
But the problem was that you need the motors at full throttle. You have to be doing about 50 knots to get up and plane. So you need these two big motors to get the boat up out of the water because once it sits on top of the water, it just skims across the top. But if you're not going that fast, it's very sluggish and it just sort of chugs along, gets pushed. And we couldn't get up and do 50 knots because we're going to, get killed. And I'm no boat pilot, but I'm going, this is not very good. So we got back, it's about 11 o'clock at night, and we get the boat back onto the trailer. We take it back and you've got to wash. And we get back and this senior sergeant, Gabbo his name, and he's sitting on the veranda at the police station waiting for us. And he's been drinking a few cans, got a few cans. There he goes, what are you doing back? I said, it was too dangerous. He said, you're weak as piss. We dropped the doctor off at the hospital before. I'm feeling, I can't balance. I'm not feeling good because another job I went out for 10 days at sea on one of the police launches and it cut short luckily because one of the blokes on board's father died and we had to turn around. I was so happy, not that his father died, because I'm a terrible sailor. But I seem to get these jobs in planes or on boats. I couldn't say no. Rostered to work, can't say no. It's your job. Yeah. But just not a very good sailor. So we have to hose the boat down, clean the motors out, and we knock off, and finish. And so the next morning, because I'm back on the next morning.
Yep.
You get your 8-hour break, I'm back on.
No rest for the weekend.
No rest. And I get a call. This Taiwanese fishing boat's come in to harbour. And they've made a call through the harbour master, and they've taken this guy to the hospital. Okay, beautiful. He's still alive.
So why don't they just do that in the first place?
Well, they wanted me to go out there and get terrified.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I go out there with a sergeant who's since passed away, Alan. We go out and we get on the pilot boat, and the boat's moored at the international. I didn't know this at the time, but this is hindsight. Before anyone's allowed to come ashore, the customs come on board and they clear the boat and whatnot. So you're at the international buoy. It's called the international buoy. You're in the harbour and everything, but you stay at the international buoy. I didn't know that at the time.
So you're not allowed to actually go to the...
Not allowed to go
dock.
on it. You're not allowed to go to the dock. You can't do anything.
Wait for the customs
to
say,
come.
okay, now you can go.
Now you can go. We've checked your papers and whatnot. But emergency,
Right.
They took the guy with the hand. They took him off.
Without the hand, maybe.
Without the hand. Well, he had a hand. He had one hand. So I go on board the boat and we meet this, and I get asked for the radio operator because the radio operator, he calls up, as I said before, every day, and he goes, this is, fishing vessel ABC 123, our position is this. And I said, we're going, he comes over and he goes, hello, I'm the radio operator. I go, well, that's good. I go, sergeant and constable. Yeah. All he could say was, hello, our position is, and give the position. He didn't have any other English.
So you thought he would be...
I thought he'd be our
he's the
conduit.
good one to talk to because he can...
So they all knew there was about 10 crew. And all of a sudden, they knew what were there. The skipper comes and offers us this little can, and it looked like and tasted like warm corn water, like a tin of corn water. The corn in it, the corn in the can, it's got the water, but it's just corn water.
Excellent.
So I'm being polite, open these, and I'm trying to drink it, and I poured it over the side. I couldn't drink it. And then, and he go, you want another one? No, because you drank that. No, I'm good, I'm full. Anyway, it was like one of those movies that you see. Everybody just took a step away from one fellow. They're all on deck. This one bloke, they all just went stood aside and left him standing looking around. I go, that's our man.
Yeah.
So I took hold of him and I took him ashore, and then I made arrangements for the rest of them to come ashore and be taken into Nhulunbuy Police Station to be interviewed. And the sergeant, he's all excited about this, Alan. He's going, oh, right, we're getting back to the station. We're going to interview him, because he's thinking it's quite a big, it's something exciting. It's different. So and I'm going, oh, this is another nightmare. So we get back there. No one speaks English. They speak a dialect of Fukien. We finally find out through this and that. So we got about 10 of the crew back. We've got the offender. He's sitting in a room. We've got him in the interview room. And we're going to get statements. I think we're going to get statements from everybody else. At the time, I had the contract to do the prisoners' meals. I think I might have mentioned this in the previous. So I rang my wife, Louise, at the time. I was married. And I go, Louise, because, I said, I need 10 prisoners' meals. It's like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock or something. I need 10 prisoners' meals for 10 Taiwanese fishermen. She goes, what do they eat? I said, whatever you got, they'll eat, I reckon. I'll tell you why the story. So I said, they'll be happy. And she said, oh, fine, I'll make something up. And she, to her credit, she cooked up some meat and she made these corn patties. She goes, made corn patties out like little, I'd never even heard of them, but using corn, like this corn water we're drinking, so out of tin corn and like little pancakes with corn in them, fried them up. I thought anyway, we're feeding them. So I had a mate, Phil, who was security at Nabalco at the mine, and a lot of the fellas there, because of the area and where it was, had a lot of wives from overseas, either Filipina, China, Asia, things like that. I rang him. I said, Phil, I need someone who can speak the Chinese, and there's so many Chinese dialects.
Yeah.
I said, this is a Taiwanese of Fukien. I'm not being rude, Fukien. So anyway, to his credit, he rings around and he said, I've got one of the blokes at work and his missus understands the dialect of Fukien.
Oh.
Says, can she come down to the police station? We need her to do this interview. And I'm the typist. The sergeant's the senior man, so he asked the questions. I'm the typist. And it was the old Olivetti hunt and peck method.
Press down 10
centimetres. Press down and, 5 copies with carbon paper.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're going to do a record of interview. And Alan's all excited about doing this record of interview. And he used to rub his hands a lot. He used to love doing this, rubbing his hands together. He goes, oh, right, Rocky, we're going to do a record of interview on this fella and find out. I go, rightio. I couldn't see the value in it myself, but I'm going, okay. So we get this woman in, very nice woman she was, spoke English and this dialect, a couple of dialects probably. And I said, now, what we're going to do is we're going to ask you a question. You will ask him the question in Fukien. He tells you the answer. You tell us the English and we type it down. You understand? Yes. So we go, what is your name? And she tells us her name. No. So no, we're going to ask the question to you. You ask him, what is your name? Then he tells you, and okay. So
maybe she was just a bit nervous.
Yeah, so we get that. Then you go, the next question, she answers it herself. I go, no. So, and this is going to take a couple of hours. A record of an interview takes a long time anyway.
At this rate, it would take
Well, it takes hours. And then, so I'm typing, asking the questions, and this poor fellow, so we get the story, what's going on, what happened. I can only believe what he tells us because, we don't know different. He goes, he's walking along the street, minding his own business in Taiwan. Next thing he wakes up and he's on a fishing boat.
Oh.
You're a fisherman now. He gets press ganged 2 years he's been on this boat. They haven't been back to their home port for 2 years. Now, I went on board the boat. I told you, I went on board the boat. And it was about 65 foot, which is not a big boat. Mm-hmm. They come in, I'd see, and they coming in and taking what they shouldn't take, and then they call up the mothership, which is a big ship, might be 200 foot long, and they've got all these fishing boats out. There's a whole fleet of them fishing. Might be 20, 30, 50 of these boats all fishing. And then they fill the hold, they call up the mothership, and they offload and snap freeze everything. Boom! Oh. And all get snap frozen. And he goes, and these guys are on real meagre rations, and they're not allowed to eat any of the catch in their own time. If they want to catch some fish and they can eat it, but they've been fishing for 8-10 hours a day. They're running nets and all sorts of things. And he got fed up. And I went on board the boat, and the living conditions are really tough. In the front, the forward end, they call the forward down there was like wooden racks for them to sleep in, 6 foot long, 18 inches high between one, and about 18 inches, 2 foot wide, and just with newspaper on them, nothing else.
How many levels?
About three levels, I suppose. And of course, some might be hot bunking too, like when they're fishing, they're sleeping. So it was pretty, because the rest of the ship's taken up for the cargo. Mm. So there's not much room. The skipper, he was a big port. He was eating all right. The rest of them were pretty. The skipper was a big lad, but the rest of them were pretty scrawny looking. Mm-hmm. So they pay them nominal, fee, but it's like slave labour. So they were working these fishing boats, haven't been back to home port for 2 years. So he tells us 2 years. He'd had enough. He was getting frustrated, so he got in a fight with this fella and didn't know what else to do, and swiped at him and cut his hand off with the meat cleaver. And that's when we got called in. And we did a record of interview with him, and I didn't say anything because it's not my place. I'm a constable, but I had an idea. But I didn't say to Alan, this happened in international waters, wasn't in Australian waters. This would have out to sea. We got no jurisdiction.
Right.
But that's not my job.
No.
I'm just going.
He was excited.
He's excited.
Let him have a bit of fun.
We're doing, and I'm doing all the typing,
Oh, yeah.
5 pages later, I'm typing all this. So we got the rest of the crew are in the meal room. We got a meal room there at the police station, feeding them. They're around this big, it's like two tables, chairs sitting around for the crew. And they're all sitting around, and the interpreter, the woman, goes in and, we ask him a question, like that requires yes or no, one of the questions. And she goes, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, yeah, blah, 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 and racka, racka, racka. And then she says to us, he's saying no. And I said, no, he said more than that. You've got to tell us exactly what. He just saying, no, you've got to tell us exactly what he said, because, we need to record it. And he could be saying, look, help me escape. Let's kill these guys or whatever. I don't know what he was saying. But she goes, okay, he was just telling me other things. You've got to tell us exactly what he said. What other things we need to know. So she went to the meal room, and the skipper stood up, and he said something to her. And she said, thank you. And he turns to me and goes, thank you for the feed. They all had big smiles. They'd never had a feed that good. I'm going, well, tick one for Louise, and prawn fritters and a bit of meat chucked in a frying pan or whatever it was. It was pretty good, but there was enough for them to eat. And he's going, thank you, and shaking my hand.
So
and
he was asking how to say thank you in
English.
in
English.
Yeah.
And then what happened? We threw him in the cells. We put him in the cells, and it was obviously diplomats took over, and we flew him out to Darwin, and he's on a plane back to Taiwan within a couple of days.
So that was the guy that chopped
did the chopping.
The chopper.
Yeah. The other guy got his hand cut off. I don't know what happened
So
to
what
him.
happened to him? You don't.
I don't know. It's nothing
Nobody
to do with
interviewed
me.
him?
What for?
Exactly.
No offence.
Would make sense though if it was
Yeah,
actually...
I look back now, what a stupid thing. We just went, well, we've got the offender, we've interviewed him, it's no offence, he's flown to Darwin, he's on neck, ring up, what's happening? Oh, they put him on a plane back to Taiwan. Goodness knows what's going to happen to him back there. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Not our problem. Bloke with a hand, treated him, probably flew him back home as well. Courtesy of the Australian government.
So you just had a social gathering, basically.
We had a social gathering.
And they got a good feed.
They got a good feed, and we did a 5-hour record of interview that wasn't worth anything. But it was quite an adventure.
Yeah.
But these things happen all the time in the NT. You just can't fathom it.
You wouldn't think there'd be too many police officers who get to go on board, like...
No. I must tell you this. This is
Yes?
the postscript to it.
Uh-huh.
So, customs officer turns up.
Oh, yeah.
This customs officer, female, very officious. I'm down.
So this is when
I'm taking them back to the boat.
back to the
I'm
boat.
taking
Okay.
them back at the boat. She goes to me, "Did you go on board that boat?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, under the Customs Act, you're not allowed, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to take you back to the police station and conduct a record of interview on you." I said, "I'm not going to say anything." She said, "What?" Because she'd not long, I think, been out of training or something. They taught her in border, customs school,
Yeah.
you do a record of interview, and when you're in training, everybody admits to everything because they make it easy for yourself.
Yeah.
And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to incriminate myself. You prove it," sort of thing. And she went, "Oh," and went off in a huff, and I never heard any more. What else was I going to do? Wait for her to come clear the vessel? You know,
Chances are you would have had to type your own interview. Right?
I might have had to type it for her. Type my own interview. She could ask me the question, I'll type it.
Yeah.
She have to do it herself. So, and because I told you before, I was a smart ass, but that's the way, I was. You had to be a bit that way, and I had more front than David Jones.
So what was the actual issue like? Because you were, as part of your job, you were told to go.
Yeah, but
get these
the
guys.
boat hadn't been cleared by customs, and she was. That's the letter of the law. Like, no one can go on board. The pilot can't go on board. There's all different things until it's cleared by customs, because anything could have happened. She goes on board. They're not searching it or doing anything, and she says, there's drugs come off or illegal, half a dozen people abscond, run off. They're running around the country. So where are they going to go? Out the middle of Arnhem Land. They're not going to go anywhere.
But you'd already taken the guys off.
I took them off and then brought them back. And then she'd arrived going, I'm here to clear the vessel. And I've been told you've already been on board the vessel. I went, nah, not a bit into that. It was just one of those. I thought it was a bit funny. I just thought it was funny. I just laughed. I went, seriously? That's your biggest problem?
Horses already bolted.
The horse is bolted. But that's the way some people are.
Yeah. She was just trying to do her job.
Trying to do her job, and it was a bit, important. Yeah. Which is right. But ours was our job to do too.
Yeah, that's right.
You get the offender, and ended up nothing happening to him anyway. Funny.
Are you sure you got them all back on the ship?
Yeah, they all went back on.
You didn't lose any?
No, I didn't lose any.
Along the way?
Didn't lose any. They're all happy.
Maybe that's what she was worried about, that you might have...
No, then I'll let one snick off.
Yeah, taken a payment for
Where's he going? Oh, I doubt it. What are they going to pay with?
Well,
fish, they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
These poor blokes. I was a tough... He told us he was press ganged. He was grabbed off the street.
That's pretty
and woke up
scary if it's true.
Yeah, well... That is pretty scary.
And put on a fishing
boat. This 1979, 80, and put on a boat to work. Yeah.
I wonder how.
Well, who else wants to do it?
I guess.
They're paid much.
It'd be hard to get people. So
to go, you're just going to go out and kidnap them, and then just make them work. Or they don't. Well, if you don't, they'll probably throw you overboard.
Oh yeah.
No one's going to miss you. Family go, so and so's Billy's missing. We don't know where he is.
Yeah.
He went down the shops and he comes back 2 years later.
You're not expecting
I've been fishing. I went fishing. Whether it's true or not, I can only say what he told us.
Though.
Yeah, well, I couldn't make it up, could I?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I wonder if there's other stories out there of that happening. Like
lots of stories
like that.
Yeah, I told you about the guy off the boat who I took his property off him and he was crying and he thought I was robbing him.
Oh yeah.
Just communication, you know. That's it. He thought I was stealing his stuff.
Yeah.
Because I had to take his property off him. Things like that. Poor little bloke. And then he's trying to give me money.
Yeah.
I was so straight I didn't take
it.
I gave it back. Here's $20. No.
Yeah, I guess it's...
Yeah, because overseas that's what happens.
World where they've
and a lot of Aussies have had, when they go over to Asia and different places, they've had problems with law.
Yeah.
And it's expected, bribes and whatnot. It's how things get done.
Yeah, that's true.
In Australia, it didn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. Okay, we're going to go back to the Crocs now. So, same year, I think, 1980. We're in 1980.
Yeah.
You got a call from Frank.
Yes. Well, Frank came into the police station.
Oh, Frank came in.
Came to the police station. I think he rang up and then he came, and the boss asked him to come in. And he came into the police station and made a half admission. He said that while at the town lagoon, which was right at the back of the houses, there was a nice, beautiful lagoon between the houses and the beach. There was this lagoon.
So it was a nice lagoon, was it?
It was a beautiful lagoon with, weeds, with flowers growing in it, plants, water plants and whatnot. Very nice. And he said he's walking his dog down, these dogs, a couple of dogs, and a croc chased his dog out of the water. A big croc chased the dog because they love dogs. They love dogs. And I said, yeah, so he's called Bob and I again. Bob Hayden and I, who's passed away, he was my best mate for 40-odd years. Very, very capable sergeant. He's the one I said owned the plane, the single-engine plane he used to rent to the police and get paid for through the flying club. He was a diver. He could ride a motorbike. He drove four-wheel drives. He was a bit of a mechanic. He could weld. He made his own welder. He was martial arts. He was fit, He could shoot. He could ride. He could do everything. And him and I, so we got on well together. I was his sidekick. And they called... So Chris, the boss, the senior sergeant, called Bob and I into his office and said, I'll speak to Frank. We speak to Frank. Frank's not his real name. And he said, this croc has been stalking me. I'm going down to the town lagoon of an afternoon and this croc's got closer and closer and chased the dog out the water the other day. And I looked at Bob and Bob looked at me and I said to him, liar, liar, pants on fire. I said, that's a bit strange, like this crocodile, and they will stalk you and whatnot if you go regular. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we made an arrangement to go with him in a few days down to the lagoon, and what we're going to do is, if we're going to try and take this crocodile, cull this crocodile, because there's kids and everyone just living around this area. Very, very dangerous where it was, right in the town lagoon. It's moved in from somewhere. And he reckoned it was about 12 to 14 feet long. So it was a big crocodile. We go, that's a big croc, and a big male. So rightio. So Bob goes, we came up with a plan. I had a bow. I wasn't too bad with a bow. I know you like your bow. And it was an Indian, just an Indian normal curve, not a reed curve or anything. And it was made out of fiberglass. It wasn't too bad. It was about 40 pound strength, 30, 40 pound bead. That sound right? And what Bob did, he made up a really sharp head like a triangle, what would you call it?
Broadhead.
A broadhead to fit onto the shaft that I had, and we fitted a fishing reel on the front of the bow, so string, because if you shoot a croc and you kill them, they sink straight away because they sink, and we want to retrieve the body. And we had this, great plan, so, and Bob was a good shot, and we had a 308, and we saw this Frank, and we made an arrangement to go and meet him this afternoon, and we go to the Billabong, this lagoon, Billabong really, and we see the croc. You could see its eyes, and this is an afternoon, it's mid-afternoon. We could see the croc about 30 metres away in the water, just lying there. And usually you can tell how big a crocodile is by the distance between the eyes, because you can't see the body. Mm-hmm. So the further apart the eyes, the bigger the head, the bigger the croc.
Right.
And this looked narrow. They weren't that. And I said to this Frank, I said, that croc's not as... I said, that's the croc. He goes, yeah, that's the croc. I said, it's not very big. He goes, it's big. It's a big croc. It's 12, 14 feet. I went, it doesn't... the eyes aren't that far apart anyway. I wasn't calling him a liar. And he goes, it won't come while you're here. Bob and I looked at Bob and I said, you've been feeding this croc? And he goes, no. I said, the only way you can get a croc come anywhere near you is you've been feeding it. And he admitted he goes down every week with a lump of meat and he splashes the water with a stick and he throws the meat. And this croc's just got closer and closer and closer. He's been doing it for weeks. And then eventually the croc's gone, I'll get the meat, but I'll also have the dog. And that's when he got worried and it's chased his dog up the beat, up the embankment. And that's when he came to see us. So goodness knows how long it's been going on, because he wouldn't really be honest with it.
The croc's been living in paradise.
The croc's been living in paradise, getting fed, and now he wanted a bit of an extra. Uber Eats, he wanted a dog as well. And that's when he got worried. He goes, I've created a bit of a monster here. So we hid behind this tall spear grass. Bob's on my left. He's got the rifle. I'm on his right. I've got the bow. I'm just behind his shoulder. He goes down and splashes the water with his stick. I see the croc, and the water's clear, very clear. The croc dropped down and Frank's run back. This croc is shot under the water and come out full bore with his mouth open.
Oh.
Launched where Frank was standing. Bob's let a shot go. I saw the croc. I let the bow go, the arrow go, shoom, and it sailed past. The croc rolled in midair, and it shot past him. Frank's gone. He nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen. We're going, now what are we going to do? So I had a little, how we got there, I had got one of those little Suzuki Jimny, little 3-cylinder thing that could get in there. It was very light. And I brought a clothesline, wire clothesline to hook the croc onto. And they're going, what are we going to do now? The water dropped off, and it was only about 4 foot deep sort of thing, but it dropped off quite sharply from shallow to 4 foot straight away. So we went, Bob had a little, rowboat. This is a true story. I can't make this up. I've got a 357 Magnum on a shoulder holster under my armpit. I don't think I got 357 rounds. I might have. I can't remember whether it took 38, so I put 357 rounds. I took both. I got the 357 under a shoulder holster. We go to Bob's place just around the corner, and we grab his little boat, and a couple of oars. We come down, we put that in, and we've got a long pole with a harpoon. It's got 3-prong harpoon on it. It's just got 3 little prongs, and it's attached to a string, just thin string, but quite strong. And what you do is you put that in the back of the crocodile, behind the head. The crocodile rolls over and over because and he'll wrap himself up, getting tangled. We throw a snout rope over it, and then we can get the croc. Now, I can't swear to this. This is what happened in my mind. Mm-hmm. So we go out in the boat, and it's only 3 or 4 metres from the shore, 2 or 3 metres, if that. And I can feel the croc with the oar, and he's not moving. I go, beautiful. I don't know what possessed me. I got out of the boat, and I'm standing over the croc. And I've got my legs either side of the croc, and I'm thinking, I don't know what. I'm 23, 24. Yeah, okay. Bob didn't say, that's not a good idea. That's not a good idea.
How old was Bob?
Bob was maybe 10 years older than me. Okay. 10, 12 years
He
older.
Probably just thought, what's
he just
this
went,
idiot
yeah, whatever. Yeah, good. That sounds like a good idea, Rocky. So I've got my
better you than me.
I've got my feet behind his front legs, and I'm straddled.
So wait, Bob's
in the boat.
Bob shot him though.
Well,
we don't know.
I couldn't see because the croc rolled.
Okay, so we know you didn't shoot him.
No, the arrow missed.
But
this is what I'm saying. And I thought Bob shot him. We couldn't see it. Bob hit him the way he's rolled. So I'm behind his front legs, and I get the harpoon and I press it down. Now, to this day, I don't know whether it was my imagination, whether he moved or his nerves. I said, the bastard's still alive. And I ninja jumped into the boat. And I pulled the croc up, and you'll see the photos of the blood. And I pulled the 357 and I shot him straight in top of the head. And that is the only blood hole in the only hole in the croc. Oh. And all I can say is that Bob shot him down through the mouth, shot him in the jaw, through the jaw. As his jaws were opening, Bob shot him straight down the gullet. Okay. And he shot him with a 308 and killed him. Mm-hmm. Right? As the mouth was open, Bob was a good shot, and he was lined up. And that's why the croc's roll. But he has shot the croc through the open jaws, and that's why there's no wound except my wound, where I shot him in top of the head with a 357. And you can see the photos. There's a photo of him. So we've got the croc there, and now what are we going to do? So we get a rope on him. We paddle back. I hook it to my little Suzuki, and it's 2-stroke, and we're trying to get this croc up onto the bank, and there's Toyota, the little Suzuki, screaming. There's smoke coming out. 2-stroke, stinks of 2-stroke, and the things we get it just so on the edge, and we go, oh, dude, it's a big croc. So we have to go and ring around and get a couple more coppers to come, off-duty coppers go. Come down here, this is all done on the quiet. Park, come, and we got about 4 guys, and we drag the croc out. And we carry him up and put him in the back of a long wheelbase Toyota police truck. It's got a canopy, and we park it at one of the coppers' houses, because we've done this on the quiet.
So there was houses around there though. Nobody was like having a look.
No, well you can't. If you drive into this lagoon area, you can walk in there, but it's not somewhere. It's quite secluded. People wouldn't go there, unless kids might play there. But this is during the during the day.
People going to feed the crocs.
Yeah, exactly. Going to feed the croc. So we've done this on the quiet. We're supposed to get fisheries and wildlife permission to cull a croc, but we didn't have time to go through all that sort of thing and get it done. So, but what we told them after, and we had to measure it and get the weight, check it was a male, and tell them. So, which we did. So we put this in the back of the Toyota, and he's lying there, and he fills the back of a long wheelbase Toyota, fills it up, and you can put about 20 prisoners in those trucks. You can stack them in, which I have. And we parked it at one of the other coppers' houses that was out the way on his front lawn for the night. Because Bob and I go the next day, because we've finished, we've got to go and get rid of it. And we take it out in the bush, and I dig a big hole. And that's the photo you can see in the book.
Yeah. And
we drag him out, and it was easy to drag him out and we measured him, and he was 4.5 feet round the belly and 3.5 feet round the tail. Me sitting on it, and the angle doesn't do it justice. Mm-hmm. But he had a small head. But what happened, he was so well fed. There was so much food there being fed. That's a lot of food, a lump of meat a week. Big crocodile only needs a kilo of meat every few weeks because they're slow metabolism. They're a reptile and they break it all down. And so we measured this croc. I got a photo of me sitting on him, and then we cut the head off. Bob got the head, and I cut a piece of armour plate off the back behind the head, which I still got. I salted it, and I have it to this day sitting in my study. Oh. That piece of armour plate. And Bob got the head, and he buried it in the backyard, and he let all the bugs and everything eat all the flesh off, and then you pull it apart. And he got that. He's passed away, but his wife's got that. I saw the skull up there, and then what you do is you put it back together, araldite the teeth in, and araldite the jaws open, and mount it. It looks really good. I think it's probably illegal to have those sorts of things now, probably, but you can buy them now. Well, it was years ago, but you can buy them now, souvenirs and things. But this big croc, and he had...
So why do you reckon he was like... Do you think he was like young, but he'd just eaten?
No,
he
just no.
And that's why his eyes.
No, he was. He just
just
didn't have that big. But he was so much fat around his tail and his belly. He was in such good condition. He was in best condition of any croc. And this was before going into the. This was coming out of the wet season, I think, the dry season. So he should have been, a bit skinny, but because he's getting fed. He didn't go into semi-hibernation. There was food. There was birds. There was bats. There was plenty of tucker there. That's why he was there. But he was a big croc. And you check, make sure he's a male, which I did, which is unusual for a female to be that big anyway. But he had about 8-10 inches missing off the end of his tail, which they often have. Some of them get feet missing and bits of jaws when they fight. And that would have made him... So he was about 14 foot long. And if you measured the rest of the tail, he'd been there. But he was a big, healthy crocodile. It was a shame to, but
yeah, you did say that.
This one now, I did say that, but this fellow trained the crocodile, and he had no fear of people. Now a kid comes down and splashes the water, and this croc would have them, and they're even more dangerous now.
How far did it come out when you were like?
It launched out.
Like how far out? Did it come up on the
bank?
It
came up out of the water and would have landed sort of right where Frank was standing. Okay. It had seen where he was. He disappeared that fast.
Did you ever see Frank again?
I don't think we spoke to Frank ever again. I don't know. Didn't have anything to do with Frank. And Frank was sworn to secrecy because he didn't know. He just, as soon as this croc came out of the water and he took off, we shot, and we didn't give him another thought. Our job was then all about this, and I just looked, and he was gone. Frank had gone. And I don't know whether he tells the story, he goes, but I think he didn't realise how fast that crocodile propelled itself under the water. It came that quick.
Well, Frank's lucky he did report it when he did, because it sounds like he didn't have much
chance.
Left.
He mightn't have had another chance.
Yeah.
So it was quite an adventure, that one, and as why I put a photo so that people can see, that this is actually what happened.
Yeah. It's not something you see every day, is it?
No.
And you said the body of the croc was buried in a secret location.
Secret location. That's because I can't remember where it is. Even if you paid me $1 million, we drove out in the bush. There's plenty of bush out there. No idea. Dug a hole deep, 14, 15 foot long.
Took a photo at least.
Took a photo. I took my camera. I'm going, Bob, take a photo of me sitting on the croc in my short shorts, singlet on.
Fashion of the day.
Exactly. Yeah, white shorts. Oh, it was.
And you've said it before that you're not a fan of like killing them.
No, and it won't do any good. Like if you were going to cull crocodiles, you would have to cull every crocodile. People don't understand that. If you say just an area, say that there's crocodiles in Cairns, right?
Yeah.
So you kill every crocodile that's there. because you have to, because the smaller one's going to grow into bigger ones. And they mature at about 50. They grow foot a year. And when they're about 50 years old, they become breeders, and, they could live up to 100 years old, crocodile. So you've got these small ones that are going to escape, and so you kill them. Then what? Then the crocodiles from Darwin and Gove are going to swim around. They're going to come from the islands of New Guinea. They come from New Guinea because they've got crocodiles in New Guinea, the Sepik River crocodile, same as our crocodile. They'll go hundreds of miles at sea. There's nothing for them to swim.
So they'll just move.
They'll just move where the food is. There's nobody here.
Perfect.
Bit like us.
Yeah.
Bit like the British colonies. There's no one here. Let's go there.
Just set up.
We'll just set up. And so what are you going to do? Cull that doesn't make sense. So what you're trying to do is get people crocodile wise and say, look, if there's water there, it doesn't matter if it's fresh, it's dirty, it's clean, it's salt. Treat it in that area that there's a crocodile there. Because you can't see them. You won't see them in the mud. And you'll see at some of these crocodile parks, they'll do that. They'll have just a pond, and it's only maybe 6 foot diameter pond. And they've got a 14-foot croc sleeping at the bottom of it, and they splash the water, and it's all got scum on it, and he comes out as fast as that. That's it. Or a buffalo wallow. They'll just lie in a buffalo wallow there waiting for something to come along and have a drink. You see them in a 10-foot hole, 15-foot crocodile. And at Carl's Crossing up near Darwin there, they just all sit at the crossing there with the barramundi coming across. And you'll see them biting the car.
What's Carl's Crossing?
Carl's Crossing is a crossing that going to the East Alligator River outside Darwin. It's a great fishing spot. And you'll see people standing and kids standing on the rocks fishing. If you Google it, you'll see them standing there fishing with crocodiles, 20 feet away. Go, what are you thinking about? They move that quick. You can't see them. You can't, you've got to give them respect. We had one while I was in Gove. There was a fellow over in Weipa, which is opposite us in Queensland. Weipa's on the other side of the Gulf of Carpentaria. Gove's this side and Weipa's the other side, which was a tin mining there, I think. Tin mine maybe. And he was camping, and he was smart. He camped like 200 metres from the river. He camped 200 metres, and he would walk down. He was there for a few days. He'd walk down to the river in the morning, get his water, and come back. Well, this crocodile saw that, and after he got taken, this crocodile tracked about half a kilometre around his camp and followed it and rushed him from behind. While he's keeping a lookout in the water, this crocodile rushed him and drove him into the water. And this is what they will do. And I used to get some of the crab fishermen, they come to me and they go, I had these crab pots out and I have them in the same spot, and I saw this crocodile and he's watching me, or pretending not to. They pretend not to. And he's 50 metres away, and a couple of days later he's 30 metres away, and he's 20, just cruising, just getting closer and closer, waiting for you not to pay attention, and then he's there. Because they're opportunists, they're opportunity feeders, but they're also patient. They're not saying not today, not tomorrow, not next week. And this is what people who have them in the wildlife, situations again, at Australia's zoo. They've got a big nasty one called Elvis. I think he's one of the biggest in captivity in Australia. He's at Gosford at the reptile park.
Is he still alive?
I think he may have died, but he was huge, and they took him from another park because he took one of the keeper's arms off or something there, got his hand, and they said you can never trust him. He will wait for an opportunity.
So do you think people get
complacent? They do. They get complacent because, no, there's not a problem. It's all nice, and, I can see him over there, and they don't realise that they're dicing with death because they don't care. They're prehistoric brain. They're apex predator. Sharks avoid them.
That's pretty... when you put it like that.
Sharks will avoid them because that's what they're designed to do. To kill and eat. And magnificent. But you've got to respect them.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have enough respect when I was up there for it because they weren't as prevalent. Mm-hmm. Now there's more.
Because they culled them?
Because they were culling them up
Yeah.
until the 60s, and then it became in mid-60s they stopped shooting them.
Yeah.
Well, the big crocs are all being taken. I mean, took 14, 15, 18 footers for their skins. So
they had to
They regenerate. So those were young ones.
Yeah.
And they have no fear of man because they hadn't been hunted.
Oh, right, yeah.
If you shoot at, once they've been shot at, you're lucky to get near them again.
Mm-hmm.
So what some of the fishers and wildlife they do is, shoot them in the tail with a 38 or something. It wouldn't kill, it just sting them because they've got thick skin. And once they heard a boat, they go, boat, I'm going to get shot at, and they disappear.
Right.
And they set traps and that for them.
So when you were out in where the other guy was killed by the croc,
Yes.
in that boat, and the croc was just sort of hanging there.
Yeah, he dropped the body.
Do you think he?
No,
because it wasn't.
Because we were.
Then.
No, he wasn't hunting us. He'd lost the feed. He dropped it with all the activity. Us coming up with the motor probably spooked him. And then people say...
Just the sound of it.
Just the sound of it and whatnot. Was a lot of activity, and he was taking the body upriver. And people go, whether he'd probably eat some of it straight away. But as I said, had a wetsuit on, so therefore there's a whole different...
He
and not a man...
thought,
He'd never eaten a man before.
Chewy.
Yeah, so who knows? But it was an opportunity.
Yeah.
Food was there, was in his vicinity. He took it. Whether he eats it or not is neither here nor there. The guy was dead. But because it's there and I'm here, I'll take it. And any croc over, say, 6 foot is capable. Under 6 foot, maybe not a man, but over that, you get anything that's 8, 10, 12 foot, a man's no problem.
But even the smaller ones, like
the smaller ones, they would just bite. Yeah, but they wouldn't attack you because you're too big to eat. But in defence, they probably would. We don't get that. It's the big males, the big crocodiles.
I'm just thinking about the one in the cell.
Oh, the one in the cell that nearly broke my arm. That was he was self-preservation. Exactly. I'm going to touch him. Bang, hit me on the forearm. Yeah, nearly broke my arm. So that's just the way they react, because that reptilian brain. Reptilian, but unbelievable creatures. The way they shut down all their extremities, all the blood. They draw the blood to their lungs and heart. They don't need to breathe. For minutes at a time, 20, 30 minutes. They hold their breath. There's no bubbles. They've got protectors over their eyes. They can hear from behind their ears. They've got sensors, and they can hear movement and vibrations.
Amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrifying and amazing.
That's a nightmare. Crocodile.
Yeah.
I haven't done it, but I probably wouldn't mind doing. Is that the swim of the crocodile in Darwin? Have you seen it? That one in Mitchell Street. And it's with perspex on one side. It's a big, and all you can see are all these scratches on the on the perspex, and people in there, and it's croc. I should have done it when I was up there about 20 years ago, probably. Maybe it was that long ago. I was there. Went
I
up
had
there
some
for
friends
reunion.
who did the shark dive
in
South Australia.
Yes, with the great whites. Yeah,
in the cage.
In the cage. Yeah, I'm not sure I need to do that.
But I don't think I
croc.
do.
No.
I don't think I do at all. Okay.
It's the crocodiles.
So another croc story for the books. All right. Well, I think we'll leave it there for this episode. But next, we're just going to have a little preview of what we're going to talk about next episode. So,
what are we talking about next episode?
Next
what have you got for us?
We're going to talk about the Gulka Man.
The Gulka Man, yes, the Gulka Man. The Gulka Man, up in the north, we call him Gulka. In the centre, they call him Kodaichi Man. The Kodaichi Man and the Gulka Man are the same, but they have different aspects to them. But they're like the tribal policemen, and it's secret who they are. People don't know who they are. Yes, there's lots of magic involved with them.
This is fascinating stuff. So.
And it's scary stuff.
And scary.
I've had a couple of run-ins with a gulker man.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to tell us a couple
of... The gulker man.
Are you going to tell us both run-ins next
week? I'll tell you both, because the first one I didn't know really what a gulker man or Gadachi man was. I had heard, but a lot of people don't know about them stealing your kidney fat, singing, pointing. They know that. People know about pointing. But I'll explain that to you.
Heard that
about what pointing the bone, but there's a lot involved in it. There's a lot involved, and it's not all psychological.
Interesting. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about that one. That sounds
Thank you.
Interesting. So
till next time.
Till next time, Rog.
Thank you. Jujut na.
See ya. We hope you've enjoyed episode 5 of Tall Tales and True. Roger shared stories of an incident on an offshore fishing vessel and another large croc encounter. Next episode, we are going to find out more about the mysterious skulker man of the top end. This one's going to be very interesting. Until next time. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you follow, like, and subscribe to the show so you don't miss what's coming next. We'd love it if you could leave us a review. It really helps more than you think. Got a story, question, or something you want us to unpack on the show? Send it through. We read them all. And come hang out with us on social media, Instagram and Facebook. Just search for us and say hi. If you like this episode, share it with your friends, your family, your colleagues, and even your dog. Especially your dog. They've probably heard worse podcasts anyway. See you next time.
This episode is proudly sponsored by Five Islands Pest Solutions, servicing the Illawarra and Shoalhaven. If you've got spiders, cockroaches, rodents, or any other unwanted guests, Five Islands Pest Solutions has you covered. You can find them on Facebook or Instagram, or just search Five Islands Pest Solutions online. Give them a call on 0424 158 828. Because Roger spent years dealing with pests on the streets, now our sponsors deal with the ones in your house.